to my Tiger Dad channel. Today's video is how to get a 36 on the ACT test. We'll be giving our top 14 hacks and tips that cover every section of the test. We'll be going over the English, math, reading, science, and writing sections. Follow along and hopefully, you can use this video to get the highest possible score that you can. We have our top 14 best hacks and tips to get that elusive 36 on the ACT test. Let's begin by going over the different sections of the test. For each section, we will be giving at least 3 tips and hacks to ace the test. Let's begin with the first section, which is the English section. We'll list the 3 tips here, then break each down in more detail. The first tip is to choose the most concise answer. The second tip is going over the no-change answers. The last hack is to read the before and after sentences when trying to answer a question. The essence of good writing is saying what you mean in the most accurate way without any extra unnecessary words. When you're trying to decide between a few different phrasings for a sentence in the English section, usually the least wordy choice is correct. There are exceptions to this rule, but it's enough of a common trend that if you're totally stumped by a question, picking the shortest answer is a fairly safe bet. Many students are either too wary of no-change answers or too eager to pick them. Always double-check before choosing no change, but if you genuinely feel that it's the right answer, try not to doubt yourself too much. No-change answers make up around a quarter of the correct responses to questions where they're presented as an option. Don't assume that a no-change option is any less likely to be correct compared to the other choices. Context is important on ACT English because all the questions are based on longer passages. When answering a question about the structure of a sentence, you should always read the entire sentence, not just the part that you're asked to revise. It might even be helpful to read the preceding and following sentences so that you can get a feel for how the different answer choices affect the flow of the passage. This will help you see that some phrasings sound more awkward than others when considered in a larger context. Okay. The next section is the math section. Here are the top 3 tips for the math section. The first tip is to plug in the answers. The second tip is to use the diagram. The third tip is to memorize important formulas. The great thing about multiple choice tests is that the correct answer is always right there in front of you, all you have to do is find it. This means that you can often work backward to find the correct answers to math problems on the ACT even if you're not sure of the actual solution method. This can take longer than just solving the problem the old-fashioned way, so it shouldn't be your first move, but if you're stumped it's a viable way to solve problems successfully. Diagrams on the math section exist to help you, so make sure you take advantage of them. Diagrams are useful in estimating the correct answer even if you aren't sure how to solve the problem. If you need to calculate a dimension of a shape, for example, consider how large that dimension looks compared to other parts of the diagram that are already labeled. In doing this, you can ensure that your answer makes logical sense. The ACT doesn't give you a list of formulas like the SAT, so you have to know the most commonly used formulas off the top of your head. Make sure you take a bit of time to review this list of formulas before the test. You're doing great. The next section we have is the reading section. Here are the tips. The first tip is deciding whether to skip or skim. The second tip is read your favorite subject first. The third tip is always find direct evidence. You should go into the reading section with a strategy in mind for how you want to approach the passages. Some people can read the passages normally all the way through and still make it to the end of the section, but for most students, it's smart to adopt a more efficient alternative approach. One option is to skim the passage before starting work on the questions. This usually means reading the intro paragraph, first and last sentences of each body paragraph, and conclusion paragraph. These parts of the passage usually provide the most critical information about the central topic. Another option is to skip the passage initially and head straight for the questions. You can answer questions about small details by going back and searching for them in the passage. Save the broader questions for last after you've already gotten a handle on what the passage is about by putting together the smaller details. Experiment with each of these strategies on practice tests so you know what works best for you and saves you the most time. In the ACT reading section, the passages are always in the same order with regards to their subject matter. You can take advantage of this by determining the optimal order in which to read the passages beforehand. It's best to start with the subject matter or writing style that you feel most comfortable reading because you'll get through that passage faster than the others and probably won't struggle as much with the questions. It would be a bad idea to save the subject you like most for last because you might run out of time before getting to that question set. You should never make assumptions to get to your answers to questions on the reading section. If you think that two answers seem equally valid, reread the relevant part of the passage and carefully analyze the evidence. There is only one irrefutably correct answer, and you'll always be able to point to something in the passage that gives it away. That's it for this video. We've broken this video into two parts. Please go check out the continuation of this video in part 2. If you're serious about getting a top score on the ACT, there is one ACT prep course that we recommend that we'll link below. Join our Facebook and Instagram to contact us about a $300 discount code. We only have a limited amount of coupons, so don't hesitate before it's too late. Thanks again for watching our video and don't forget to